Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back to MOVIEidol. So I want to do a Q&A video again. This one I want to talk about mostly the season 10 trailer. I asked you guys to just post stuff related to the season 10 trailer. I've actually rewatched that trailer about 10 times now, literally this morning, and I have found a lot of stuff to talk about. Like, there's actually some very quick shots that I do think hint at things that are going to happen in season 10B, but I'll do those videos throughout this week. I'm definitely really excited. Like, this shot here I do think is hinting at the Battle of Hilltop. I don't know why I didn't catch this shot when I originally watched that, so I'll do that video tomorrow. I think this shot is related to this shot here of Michonne and Judith, and so I do think this is something that is happening during the Whisperer War. But yeah, I'll save that for that video then. First, if you're new here, make sure to be a subscriber to get all my Walking Dead content. There will be a preview special happening this Sunday. It's going to be a preview special for season 10. The guests actually for that are going to be Kari Payton, who plays Ezekiel, Josh McDermott, who plays Eugene, and also the showrunner Angela Kang. So they will be giving us a preview of season 10. I don't expect any footage to be revealed, but there could be something. You never know. They could always drop something. So in case they do, I will do a video breaking down all that footage and all that later on this Sunday. I still will do a video overall breaking down all the new information that we learned during that preview special, because they will talk about different aspects of certain characters. I do think we're going to learn more about Ezekiel. We're going to learn more about Eugene and his role with the Commonwealth. I mean, they did choose two very specific characters for this. Ezekiel, obviously, we saw kissing Michonne in the trailer, so I think we'll learn more about that, or we'll get a hint at that. And then with Eugene, obviously, there's a whole Commonwealth thing, so I do think they're going to talk a little bit more about that. At this point, they haven't really touched on that at all, so I do think that's going to be a question that's going to get asked, and yeah, I look forward to seeing what they say. So if you're new here, just make sure to be a subscriber to get all my Walking Dead content on that. But let's jump into the Q&A. So thank you, first of all, for everybody who posted questions. The first one, Q&A, do you think Michonne will be the one handing Lucille to Negan? Now, I don't actually think she's going to hand Lucille to Negan. I think if anything, she'll probably lose Lucille and Negan will somehow get her afterwards. I don't think she's actually going to hand Lucille to Negan. What I find very odd is that she has Lucille in the first place. I do have a video coming out sometime in the next week talking about this scene specifically, because there is a chance that this could be a dream sequence, but there's also a very high chance that this is just Michonne and her final look and her final story for this season. Because remember, there were reports that they're filming season 10 out of order, that they already filmed episode 12, so this shot here of Michonne holding Lucille could be from episode 12 of season 10, so there's a good chance we're not going to see this until March of next year, which could hint at Michonnes Exit, but who really knows at this point? I don't think Michonne's going to willingly hand over Lucille to Negan. I think if Negan gets Lucille, it's just gonna happen. Next question, how excited are you for season 12, season 17, or 18? Now, also known as the seasons with no comic material to base it on. I believe in Kang, but it will be interesting to see post-Commonwealth and in season 12 and beyond. I am really excited for season 12 and beyond, but I think specifically for that reason. I want to know what they can do with just original material. Now, I actually touched on this a little bit in a video I posted yesterday. I do think Kirkman's going to be involved. I don't think he's going to be completely absent for the rest of the Walking Dead television series. I think he will be involved in stuff that happens. Obviously, he's a really crucial part to the Walking Dead feeling a certain way. He is the creator of the universe and all these characters after all, right? So he has to be a part of it. That's why he's a part of the Rick Grimes movies, right? And so as much as it will be original material, I do think some of it is going to be material that Kirkman was working on, because if you remember, he wanted to get to like issue 300, he wanted to extend the comics way longer, and he worked on additional storylines, he worked on different things, but it just could not really go anywhere, and so he just decided to end it with the Commonwealth. So there's a chance we could see a lot of that stuff come to life on the show. I'm really interested in seeing what that was. I want to know what kind of stuff he had in mind. Obviously, Angela Kang would have to do something different with it, because, I mean, there was a reason Kirkman couldn't do anything with it, right? Like, it couldn't go anywhere. So I'm not sure of the reason. We'll see what happens, but I'm definitely excited for what happens later on, because Angela Kang has proven that when she changes things with this show and when she does more original content or more original storylines, they're actually really good and very surprising. Next question, why would Daryl let Michonne leave? Wouldn't he look for her too after some time? Well, I don't think it's going to be that simple. I don't think Michonne is going to leave like Rick. Like, I'm just imagining Angela Kang and all the writers and stuff in a room talking about, what are we going to do for Michonne? How is she going to leave? And the one thing that keeps coming to mind is they would not write the same exit for her as they did for Rick. They just wouldn't do that. It would just make no sense. It would be way too repetitive. And then we have our characters like Daryl, Judith, and RJ, especially those two characters, now believing that their mom is dead. And it's like, you know, that's just too much. You know, like first they thought their father was dead when he's very much alive. And now they think their mother's dead when she's also very much alive. It's just too repetitive. I don't think that's going to be the case. I think they're going to know that she leaves, and we really only have two options, which is a death, or she leaves for some purpose, and maybe they're not okay with her leaving. Maybe Daryl is very much against it, but they understand why she has to go. Now, what could that mean? I mean, obviously, if it's a death, it's going to be pretty much just that. It's going to be very, very heartbreaking. Our characters will just be really sad, and that's it. Now, I don't think she's going to die because she needs to find out that Rick is still alive. She needs to find out all of that information. And so that's why I think her departure is going to be tied to her finding out that Rick is alive. And I think that's why Judith and RJ will be okay with her going. I mean, obviously they're going to be sad, they're going to be crying and all that, but they'll get it, you know. It'll be too dangerous for them to go over there. Michonne's going to make them stay. Michonne will tell Daryl, look after my kids. I will be back with Rick. And thus they'll just kind of be waiting for them to come back. And I do think this will overall tie into the Commonwealth, because once we start discovering the Commonwealth, I think that there will be some dialogue said, which will be, are these people related to Rick? And then I think that's where Maggie could come back. And they're wondering, do these people know where Rick is and all of that? And there could be some confusion there. Maybe there is some relation. I don't think there is, because Gimple did say the Commonwealth and the CRM, they're separate entities, but that's roughly how I see it going. That's my prediction right now. Q&A, how messed up is it that Gamma is wearing Enid's clothes? Maybe she was the Whisperer that killed her. I mean, that makes a lot of sense if she was the one that killed her. If you think about it, somebody had to, right? And that was something I talked about at the end of season 9. I wanted to see stuff like that where some of these Whisperers were wearing those characters' clothes and all that, because, like, what do you do with the bodies, right? Like, the comics never really got into that much. And I'm glad that the show is kind of getting into it. I still don't know what they did with all their bodies, but it makes sense that they would wear their clothes and all that, right? It's just creepy as hell. Q&A, do you think Negan will lead Alexandria? I don't think he will ever lead Alexandria. I just don't think the characters will stand for that. I don't think Daryl's ever going to be okay with Negan leading Alexandria. It's also just going to look very bad. As much as Negan's going to redeem himself, and as much as we're going to be very happy with that, and some of our characters can actually live with him. I mean, having a Negan leadership, a Negan ruling of Alexandria, is essentially like he won all out war, right? And so I don't think that's going to happen. I think maybe he can join and be a part of the council or something like that, but he will never be a leader. It'll just always look bad, especially with his history, right? Like, I don't think anyone would feel comfortable with that. Q&A, who or whom does Michonne take with her on the boat when she leaves? Well, I mean, I guess it's assuming that she's going to leave on a boat, and there is definitely a possibility that that could happen. I'm actually going to be doing a video on that specifically, because we see this shot of the boat in the water, and everyone's thinking, is that Michonne on the boat, or is that Carol or whatever? But then there's also this shot here, and I'm pretty sure it's the same boat. Ezekiel and a bunch of others, they're tying the boat up and stuff like that. So I don't know necessarily what this is in relation to, but it seems like this is a boat that they use frequently. And this is just something that they have been using over the last like 6 years, you know, since the Rick time jump or whatever. But yeah, I'll talk about that more in my video coming out in the next few days. Q&A, most shows go bad after a good season. Will this happen in The Walking Dead? If so, how will they recover? Well, I don't actually think season 10 is going to be a bad season. For me, season 9 was probably the best season of the series, honestly. Like, I can go in so much detail, but I'll do that in my season 9 review. I highly doubt season 10 is going to be a bad season. Like, just based off that trailer anyways, there was so much in that trailer that hasn't been in any other Walking Dead trailer. I mean, I'm serious about that too. That trailer was the best trailer I've ever watched for The Walking Dead. And that's a really crazy thing to say, I know that, but when you go watch those other trailers, some trailers are good, like season 5 was a really good trailer, but nothing was as action-packed, nothing was as good as the season 10 trailer. The season 10 trailer felt like an actual movie. And if you take the content in that trailer and you look at what was in it, it's hard to believe that all of that is from the first like 6 or 7 episodes. I know some of it could be from episode 12, but that's a lot. A lot of stuff is happening there. And yeah, I don't see the season being bad, to be honest. Q&A, I've asked this a few times. I've come to believe that after what Gimple said, that the Commonwealth and CRM are separate, that the Commonwealth will be in the show and the CRM will be in the movies. I think that Georgie and Maggie are with the Commonwealth, and that she should return as the villain in season 11, and that's how we are introduced to the Commonwealth story. What are your thoughts? Do you think this is likely, or do you see two different things being introduced in a different way? Well, I do like that Georgie and Maggie could be villains kind of season 11, and I don't like to use the word villain. I see Maggie sort of taking the Shane role, but not being so insane. Like, I don't see Maggie dying like in season 11. I just don't see her being killed off. But I could see Maggie being that Shane character, right? Like, you really like her, but she has this different belief. She has this different like system and all of that. Because the Commonwealth, I mean, when you look at the comics now, the Commonwealth, they're not evil. They're not bad at all. It was just the leadership, and even that, it wasn't that bad. Like, they weren't the governor. They like that governor wasn't the governor from the prison. She was not Negan. She's not Alpha. She's not any of that. She just believed in this whole social class thing and had a lot of issues like that. But overall, they weren't villains, right? Like, as soon as she stepped down, as soon as they removed her from power, she was okay with that. She was like, okay, fine. She was more sad that her son killed Rick and was in jail for the rest of his life. And she was fine. She stood by that, and she was okay with what the Commonwealth wanted to do for the future. So I think Maggie coming back in that way, yeah, I think that would be really interesting. And I think they could work something out there for season 11. I'm just hoping that Lauren Cohen will want to come back, because I think there's a lot of interesting things you can do there. And I think you can pivot into different storylines and do different things with that character. I mean, to think when Georgie was introduced in season 8 that she could play a role in season 11, that's really cool in my opinion. And as for the CRM, yeah, I do think it's going to be mostly Rick Grimes movie related. I really want to know more about that, but they still have to release a bunch of stuff on that. Q&A, if you could save anyone from the Pike scene, who would you save? Personally, I'd save Tara. Well, if I could save anyone, I think I'd probably save Enid, to be honest, because I don't think she deserved that. I mean, first of all, no, none of those characters deserved it, but Enid is one of those characters that has like this like romantic or sort of personal connection to Carl, which I really liked. They're both the same age. They both understood each other. She sort of represented a different side to Carl, right? They could have been together in the future. They could have had kids together. There was that certain thing there. And she also was kind of the Sophia of the television show, because Sophia died way back in season 2, which the comic Sophia actually survived the series completely, right? So I would save her, because I think she could definitely add a lot to the story, and I really am sad that she's gone. So many people died from the hilltop. Like, there's no one there like when Megan comes back, because she's gonna come back at some point, there's no one there for her. Like, she's gonna come back to the hilltop, and who's there now? Magna and all of them? Like, she doesn't know who those people are. Tammy Rose is even gone. Like, they're literally all gone now. Will you still, I guess, post a season 9 review? Yes, I definitely will be posting a season 9 review. Like, I'm waiting for it to come out on Blu-ray. I actually already pre-ordered it. I think I'm getting it on the 20th, I believe, or something like that. So my review will come out at the end of this month for sure. I'm really excited. I know I could watch it on AMC's website and all that, but I want to binge watch it. I actually want to watch it with my girlfriend too, to see her reaction to everything. So yeah, I'll post that video specifically at the end of this month. Q&A, how do you think Michonne will leave, and how will that affect Judith and Rick Jr.? Well, I talked about how I think Michonne's likely going to leave. Well, at least partially anyways. I don't know specifically how she's going to leave. The boat could be a factor, or she could just leave in a helicopter. I mean, who knows? But I think it's going to affect Judith and RJ depending on the reason for her departure. If she's leaving because everyone found out that Rick's alive, I think it's going to be very bittersweet. Obviously, they don't want to lose their mom and they don't want her to leave, but they understand why she's leaving. They found out their dad's alive, right? And yeah, I think it's going to be more bittersweet than anything. And I think overall, it's probably going to be that anyways, because you don't want to make that a sad moment, right? Like, you want Michonne to have a happy ending. This character has had a very, very rough life, really, from the beginning of this apocalypse. And she found some happiness with Rick. And, slowly throughout season 9, after Rick was gone anyways, she started to find herself again. To die or to end very tragic, I think would be a very, very wrong choice for the character. And so, yeah, I think she's gonna have a good ending. And I think Judith and Rick Jr., they'll be sad, but like I said, it's probably gonna be bittersweet. Q&A, if Negan and Saviors won the all-out war, how do you think Negan would deal with the threat of the Whisperers? Well, I think that is something we're going to see this season. Like Negan says in this trailer, it's time, or people are starting to put their shitting pants back on. I think that's exactly what we're starting to see. I think Negan being around telling people, we need to fight back, we need to do this, we need to deal with this threat, no just like staying in Alexandria. I literally think that's how he would have handled it if he would have won all out war. They would have just killed the Whisperers. The second they found out about them, they would have went out there and got rid of them. I think it would have been really as simple as that. And that's really the case with a lot of these characters. Sometimes they die, sometimes certain characters end up in certain very bad circumstances. Like with Shane, he ended up dying because of his actions, because he was so drastic with certain things, and he did that. I guess that's why Negan's in a cell right now, right? Or he was in a situation he was in. But I think if things worked out for him up until this point, I think he would have got rid of the Whisperers pretty easily. Q&A, do you think Lydia will be taking Carl's storyline or Sophia's? I think Lydia is going to be getting a very separate and original storyline. I don't think she's going to take Carl's storyline or Sophia's, because Carl's storyline and Sophia's storyline in the comics at this point was very much just, I mean, they just wanted to protect Hilltop. There was nothing really going forward for them. I mean, if you look at what happened after the Whisperer introduction, after Rick and them rescued Carl and Lydia from the Whisperer camp, they didn't do anything for the rest of the series. And because Lydia has no love interest, because Henry's gone, because Carl's gone, because Enid's gone, so there's no one for her to be friends with or anything like that, I think she's going to have her own story. I think she's going to be doing something very different and separate from everyone. And I think if anything, she'll have a connection with either Negan or Daryl, and I think that's pretty much going to be it. Q&A, do you think that Michonne and Ezekiel's kiss is a misdirection? Well, I think there is something about that. I definitely think there's a misdirection. There's something that's definitely misleading there, but when you watch that scene, she's definitely like holding on to Ezekiel. There's something more there. It's not just, you kissed me, I wasn't expecting it sort of thing. It's like, no, she was kind of holding on to his arm. She seemed like she was ready for that kiss. So there's something there, but I'll talk about this more in depth in a video I have coming out later today, actually. Thank you guys all for all of your questions. I really enjoyed that. Post your questions down below for next week's Q&A. I'll be posting this next Wednesday. Hope you guys all enjoyed this video, and thanks for watching.